It worked. Hello, good evening. Welcome to Monday Night Paranormal Live with Paul and Jenny, hosts for Ghosts, Angela from South Coast Ghosts, and Luke, one of the investigators there. And Alan's one of the guests that came in on the Saturday investigation. So he'll just put his comments up there when he can. Tonight, we've got laptop live. So we've gone off a laptop and we're on a phone because Angela's normal streaming laptop is packed up. So this is why we're on a small screen. If you can see us, hear us, send in your comments. So we hope you had a great weekend and a safe week. Saturday we were at Fort Brockhurst, we'll come to in a minute, for our charity ghost hunt event with myself, Jenny, Dora, Angela, Luke, and lots of guests. It was a good night, a good start. It's a massive fort. So obviously we arrived there at about 7 o'clock, and it took a bit of time to get in and get started. So we put all the laser grids around the doors to show the entrance and all of that type of stuff. And then the guests arrived all on time, which was good. And we had our briefing in the beginning to get going and showed a bit of the equipment we're going to use that they could use and borrow and see how they got on. And then we split into two groups. One group, one side of the fort, one group, and the other group went to the other side of the fort. So Dora's group, Angela's group, went off to the prison cells, I think it was, Angela, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think that's where we went first, yeah.
That was the prison cells first. And myself, Luke, and some of the guests, we went over to the little room with the coffin in, didn't we, Luke?
Yes,
It was the first room we went to. So we went in there first of all. Did our normal sort of shouting out, calling out, and that type of stuff. A little bit quiet at start, and then we started to get noise on the voice recorder, which we couldn't understand. Is we could hear running water, but there was no water in the room. It was a bit drizzly outside, but we couldn't really see any water spots on the floor, could we, Luke?
No, you couldn't. No,
but the water running was quite clear, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
So we sort of tried to work that out and couldn't work out why we would hear running water, but we could hear it. And in the room right next to us was a coffin they had for Halloween. And when we started to call out in that room, various things started to happen. Like it got very dark in there, didn't it, Luke? Very quickly.
Yeah, but you couldn't see no one.
No. What else happened there, Luke? Do you remember?
Was it a tapping or whistle?
Yeah.
Some sort of noise, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, and then we thought we heard someone in the room, didn't we, walking around, like footstep. And I think Alan was standing in the corner, and there was a loud tapping type noise that came on that we heard. And it was like when we called out, "Can you make a noise?" It was like quite a loud tap. And Alan's wife was there, and to hear what she described as like dragging, like something being dragged in the room. And we're sure we heard a voice, but I need to go back over the recorder. But we have got some good clips for you tonight. Hopefully they'll work. Now Andrew's dropped onto her phone and they're not going to work.
I don't think I can do this and those at the same time.
Right, okay. So anyway, we can do that for another day, whatever.
Yeah.
Don't apologise, it's fine. So we had tapping in the room, lots of noise, all sorts of things going on. It was a bit of a slow start, I would say, wouldn't you, Luke? Really?
Yeah, started off quite slow, yeah.
Got a loose finger now. So it started off quite slowly, and then it started to get better as time went on. So from there, we headed into the gun room, what we called the gun room, which was all the original cannons lined up, looking out over the fort. And bearing in mind, this fort is built in the 1850s, and it's a massive fort, huge, biggest one I've been to. I think it's one of the biggest ones on the south of England. You know, the parade ground is massive, and all the bunks and all the rooms stretched right across from one side. Had a massive gun ramp to one side where they would have wheeled the guns up to the turrets. So we went to what we named as the cannon room, because obviously it was full of cannons. And in there we were sort of set up, and we did a few bits. A little bit quiet, wasn't it, Luke, to start off with? And then we were calling out. So normal sort of, high spirit, are you there? All that type of stuff. And we set out some cat balls, and Luke had put his REM pod up one end, and we'd had the cat balls out. So we were standing there, and right sort of down the end is like the windows, which would have been the slits in the walls to look out on.
Mm.
So we were watching that in the darkness, and still doing voice recording. Again, we could only describe like a dragging type noise in there, really, on the voice recorder, but we didn't hear it by ear. Alan was videoing the cat balls going off, because we had the cat balls going literally, on demand. We would ask the question, it would flash. So we were quite chuffed at that. But when you looked up to the windows kept disappearing, like something was going backwards and forwards across the windows. And we couldn't really see anybody down there. And we sort of wandered, had a look, came back. Alan looked outside. There's a tree further back, and a grill and a plastic, plastic glass across it. And there wasn't no road there, and it was obviously above the keep, so above the water. So there couldn't have been anybody walking past outside. We think, we don't know whether it was the tree moving, but I don't know how the tree outside could block it from inside, because it was like it was blocked from inside. It was like someone was walking backwards and forwards, wasn't it, Luke? It was a real strange view, wasn't it, Luke? It's really odd. I don't know how to describe it. It's very odd. And we kept looking at it, but it was going all the time, quite often. So the cat balls were really good, because the cat balls were going on demand. And then I asked out if there's any children there, because I suddenly heard the name Tommy. So we called out for little Tommy. Are there any children here? And we had some activity on the ball and the recorder, like a voice. And then Luke said he'd been touched by something. Do you remember that, Luke?
Yeah, it was like a small child, like tugging on my jeans on my legs. Yeah.
So, and then I think it was Alan said he thought he saw a head, or his wife pop round the corner and look like a shadow figure. I didn't see that myself, but they said they suddenly looked and went, "What was that?" and described it as like a head that popped round the corner and popped back again. But I didn't see that myself, because I was busy looking at the windows. I couldn't believe what was going on with the windows, to be honest with you. So it was a very strange. What else happened there, Luke? We had quite a bit go on, didn't we? We thought we saw someone in there. Cat balls were going. There was all sorts of things happening, noises. And then we went from there to... Where did we go to from there, Luke?
Wasn't it that room it's like this room where you could see, you look through the window and the base room was in front of you.
Yeah. That one we went right down the steps and into that one, or was that the room off the cannon room?
Yeah, I think so. You can see the base room through the window.
Oh yeah, that's right. And we were watching, weren't we? It was because it looked like someone was in the base room, didn't it? Because we saw movement, and we saw cat ball going off on the table that we'd left on the table. Do you remember? We looked through, and we could see it. Me and Luke started to look, and we thought, well, who's in the base room when everybody's out? But we weren't sure if someone was in there. It might have been Jen potting around. We don't know. I wouldn't read too much into that, but we saw the cat ball going on the table in the base room, which was going off quite often during the night, even when we were sitting there having a cup of tea and whatever, the cat ball on the table was going off, and nobody was banging the table. So that was quite interesting to see that go. And then after a break, we headed to the prison cells, didn't we?
Is it? Yeah.
And then right opposite the prison cell was a great big room, like a little room, and then a big room off of it. So the intriguing thing was we were standing there calling out, and then we thought we heard something in the corridor, but we wasn't, again, not sure, got to go back on the voice recording. But when I voice record, I'm sure I could hear a name. It's like I'm here, it's very, very faintly. And as we were all leaning over together, sort of huddled quite closely together to listen to the voice recording, the floor started to bounce. We were standing on it, it's bouncing up and down, like a heavy person was walking across it, or someone was jumping up and down, although we were standing still. And we all looked at each other and went, why is the floor moving? And it literally was bouncing with all of us on it, like someone heavy, quite stockily built, walked across the floor, or they were jumping up and down. So whether that's to do with the I'm here and the bouncing on the floor, which is quite strange because I've never felt that before, that it literally was the whole floor bouncing, wasn't it, Luke? You remember?
Yeah, I remember, yeah.
What did you think when that happened, Luke?
So like the ground was moving, really.
Ground.
It was weird, wasn't it? It was the whole floor that actually moved, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
I know the floor is suspended above, obviously, the concrete floor, and if you really sort of bounce hard on it, you could feel it bouncing. But the specific time that we stood there listening to the voice recording, it was actually bouncing, like someone was walking across towards us. So that was quite intriguing. And then we crossed over to the cells, because Luke said he wanted to go in cell 3. He was drawn to cell 3. Why were you drawn to that cell, Luke?
Because I searched up the activity of the place, and they said there was a prison guard who used to walk around it and whistling around it.
Right. What, around that cell or around that corridor?
I think it was cell 3. I can't remember, but I remember reading about it before I went there.
So we tried cell 3. Nothing really happened in there, did it? It got dark in there, didn't it? It got very, very dark in there. And we all commented how dark, and it was super dark, wasn't it? Really, really superly dark inside there. So then we were standing there. I think we came out of cell 3 and went to cell 2, didn't we? And we were all standing in cell 2. Lynn had gone off to the loo or gone to get a drink or whatever. So it was myself, Alan and his wife, Jen, and Luke, just us, wasn't it? Oh, and 2 other ladies, Gillian and that. So we were all standing there, and we were looking out a door, and somebody said, oh, it looked like someone just walked past the door, literally past the cell door. I don't know who saw it, and I thought, well, there's nobody here unless it's Lynn coming back from the loo. So I looked out, went out into the corridor, because it's a massive corridor. It goes right the way around into a great big room, right at the very end, with a fireplace that leads back towards the base room. So I was out in the corridor, couldn't see anybody, had a quick look, nobody was out in the corridor or out there. Came back in, and then we saw what I can only describe as a very dull, yellowy amber light in the corridor. And we're thinking, oh, there's somebody here. So I popped out again. You know, who's there? Come, if you're coming in, come in now. Because it wasn't like a torchlight or concentrated white light like our torches are. It was a very dull yellow, wasn't it, Lee? And the strangest thing was that the light was actually bouncing as it was coming along, like someone was walking along with it. So I put my head out, had a look, went out into the corridor, thought it must be Lynn or it's got to be someone outside. Went out into the actual centre of the fort. There was nobody about. Everybody was on the location. I came back in again and we're standing there. And the split second, the light came back again. It's a very dull, yellowy light. It's a very strange light. And then we thought we saw someone come past the door. But again, we're really not sure what we saw. And I went back out and said, who is it? Who's here? You know, who's out here? And the split second I looked to my right, because the cell was in front of me here, and the entrance was to the left, and the rest of the cells were to my right. As I looked round, I saw what looked like a man about 6 foot tall, just a shadow, no detail, no nothing like that, just like the back of him, like he was about 6 foot tall and had a slightly tall hat on. That's all I could see, and I could see a little bit of the light in front of him. Now I assumed that's a him. It may have been her, but it was. I would have said the shadow would have been about 6 foot tall, and I even turned around thinking maybe it's my shadow being cast into the hallway. But when I looked around, there's no light out there. It was just me. It was completely dark. So I don't know whether what I saw was like a prison warden walking along with a lamp, like with a candle type lamp. Because when we looked at history yesterday, the people, the prison wardens would have had a top hat and would go along late at night with a lamp, with a candle in to check that the cells were shut and locked, that everybody was locked away. So I'm not sure. I know what I saw, the shadow. I know what I saw and the hat. But whether he was carrying a lamp and the light we saw was the lamp, I don't know. But the light was actually moving like someone was walking along. It wasn't a steady beam of light like we would have had, with your torches and all of that type stuff. It wasn't white. It was like an amber, dull yellow colour, I would have said. Something in that sort of range. Like wasn't it, Luke? It was a very strange light, wasn't it? What did you reckon?
Yeah, I thought it was my mum coming back, but it wasn't.
There's nobody there. The weird colour, wasn't it?
I know I saw someone poke their head around the cell door as well.
So we wasn't sure, were we, really, what was going on in the corridor? There's obviously something going on, but we really weren't sure what was going on, to be honest. I think there's a message there somewhere. Hayley said the person who popped their head around the door was a boy called Henry.
Oh,
he's gone.
probably because he read the message and I don't know. And then Dora put a message. Hello, everyone. I'm really sorry, but can't make it on the live as I'm at work, but we'll interact when I can. Really good night on Saturday. Thank you to English Heritage. Oh, hang on. Sorry, I'm faffing around with the settings because there's another guy called Steve logged in and it won't show up and I don't know why. So I know you're there, Steve, but I can't make you
back.
Lead you to the screen.
Suddenly lost the internet.
Yeah.
I pressed on the comment, it suddenly went different. So Hayley, we all saw what, like Luke said, a head pop round the door. And that's what made me sort of go in the corridor. I thought someone was out there, but clearly they weren't. So that was very intriguing to see that light and, what we thought was shadows. And then we went back to the base and then went back to the cannon room later as a big group.
I think we went to cell 1 after cell 2 as well.
Oh, yeah. So I'm having trouble with my internet. Keep talking, Luke. I'm trying to refresh the screen.
Oh.
What happened in cell 1, Luke?
I don't know. Every cell we went in felt worse. There's a worse feeling in each cell. It got worse as you went on.
Right, I'm just trying to refresh my screen here.
Yeah.
And all sorts of issues tonight, aren't we? Graham Bentley, hi folks. Sounds interesting on Saturday. Hi Graham, good evening to you. Welcome to Monday Night Paranormal Live. It was a very interesting place. Bearing in mind, it was a charity night we were doing for the English Heritage. So all the money that was made goes to them to help keep the history alive of the fort and all the other locations that they do. So, we were very honoured to be allowed to do that with them. And they had a couple of people on site which I spoke to today, and they were, they're very pleased in how we handled ourselves and we did on there, because obviously they're worried about their fort and the history, and they just don't want anybody going in there and destroying it. And we done very well Saturday night. So well done, team. Very good night. Everybody was good, did their bit. So well pleased with that, and they're really pleased. So we sort of had a few bits and pieces going like that all night, really. Head shadows and bits, wasn't it, Luke? It was for a place that's not been done for about 10 or 11 years. I think it built up and then just dropped off again. built up, dropped off again, built up. It was that like they were looking at us as well as us looking at them. Do you know what I mean? Like they weren't sure what equipment we were using and that type of stuff, but they were interacting with the cat balls, weren't they, Luke? We had them going.
I've got a video of it.
Did you send it to Angela?
Don't have my phone. I've got it on my
Don't worry.
phone.
We probably can't play it anyway because it's on the phone and not the laptop. So send it over. Put it closer to the screen, Luke.
I've got to get to the part when it. No. I don't know really. Don't think you can see it properly.
Can't really see it, can you? See a white dot in the middle, but
see it flashing a little bit.
yeah, just it going in and out.
My name is Paul. Thank you for flashing the red light. Can you tell us your name?
Sort of just make it out, kind of don't. You have to send it over, and once we're back up on the computers and that, then we'll be able to show it again.
Yeah.
And also when we were standing there and the cat ball was going off, I think it was Alan said he felt blowing, like something blowing on the side of his face when we were standing there. So that was interesting. And then a little while later, it was blowing on the other side of his face, like it actually moved around him and blew on the other cheek, which was quite interesting, really. You know, because we're sure we saw something down the end, but it was like you wanted to coax it to come up, but as far as it would go would be the cat balls. You know, it was obviously staying away from us, which I can understand. A crowd of people standing around calling out for them at 11, 12, 1 o'clock in the morning is not really a good idea, is it? But all in all, you know, I enjoyed it. It was more audible than visual. It got off to a bit of a slow start, but we had good evidence that came back. And we had a lot of voice recordings we were going to play you tonight and videos and bits, but obviously Andrew's had a bit of a malfunction on the laptop. So we'll bring you them another night. So they're quite interesting because I think it was Angela's group went off. Where did you go first? What was your first location, Angela?
It was around the prison cells, but it was one of the big rooms opposite.
All right.
Yeah, it's quite a large room, that one. And it went off to like another room through some doors. So it's quite a big area. And we set up the laser grid with some cat balls dotted around and some meters. And yeah, to start off, it was like really quiet. It's like you can't feel that there's anything here. It's like the kind of room where you thought, yeah, I could happily sleep here in the dark. Nothing's going to happen.
Yeah.
And then after a little while, it was like there was the doors at the end, big doors, and then there was a smaller door off to the left, and then the door to the right where we came in, from what I remember. And it sounded like a door was rattling a bit, or like some light knocking on it, but it wasn't anything sort of, oh wow. And then we tried to the table, see if we could get something going on the table, but that was like completely flat. That wasn't doing anything either. And then we moved into the other side of the room, and I think that's when you started to hear sort of little bits and pieces, like there's a little tap over there and a little knock over there. And I can't remember if a cat ball was going off at that point or not, but and then we moved a bit further down to another room. I don't know if it was a cell, but it was a much smaller room, and it had a fireplace in it, and there was a room sort of directly behind it. And we had a cat ball and a meter up on one of the fireplaces, or on a ledge or a shelf or something. And after a while, the meter started to like flash. It would have a couple of green lights and then occasionally go up to the yellow light. I was like, something's going on. and we did some calling out in there as well. I don't know if I can play it. I'll see if I can play it on the computer, and then you might be able to hear it from there. But I've disabled the volume. Yeah, there was 3 really distinctive, clear knocks, and we all could tell where it was coming from in the room. It was from like the fireplace, and nobody was sort of stood there. There was like a gap, and it was definitely coming from there. Sounded like someone was tapping on the brick. And Ryan had gone off with his SLS sort of down the hallway.
Yeah.
So Dora called after him and asked him if he knocked anything. He said no.
Yeah.
But you could tell he wasn't in that room because his voice was further down the hallway.
Oh, right. Okay.
Because we were the only ones there. Everyone else was in the room, and
Yeah.
Ryan was in the hallway, so there wasn't anyone living in that room. It was the knocks were really clear. I don't know if you'll be able to hear it on here. There's a lot of quiet bits in this.
Yeah.
I don't know if you heard it then.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah,
But faintly, yeah. But it's quite a recording, isn't it? When you actually hear it, it's quite very distinctive knocks.
Yeah,
aren't they?
definitely.
So it's good getting that response, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think that one was the highlight of my evening because I was like, I could actually hear that because usually I can't hear things.
Yeah. And do you actually hear it with your hearing then, or just on the recording?
Oh no, we all heard it while we were stood there. That's why we all sort of looked over and, oh wow.
That's weird, isn't it? Really loud. It's quite loud then.
Oh yeah, it was that loud that you could easily hear it.
Oh wow.
And then I had my voice recorder on before that, and I'd had it on, I don't know, about 5 or 10 minutes. And then I thought, oh, nothing's happening, and turned it off. And then 2 minutes later, that happened. But luckily, someone else was recording and they got it, so that was good.
Yeah. Yeah, that was interesting. They caught the recording, didn't it?
Yeah.
What happened? Where did you go after that? Can you remember?
That's what I'm trying to remember. Where did we go? I think we came back and had a break then.
Yeah.
And
are you referring to the popular dancehall song Nothing New Go So by Notch?
Okay. No, I wasn't actually. I didn't ask you.
Yeah.
That was someone's phone.
How funny. We've got spooks on
I've
here.
lost my train of thought now. We went to, I think, where you've been before.
The little room with the gated door.
No, my mind's completely gone blank.
But every time we recorded, we had running water in each of the recordings, didn't we?
Yeah.
And we couldn't work out where the running water was because it was raining outside.
Yeah.
Not heavy rain, but it was drizzling, wasn't it, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
But clearly, what I'll do is I'll upload them and then get them over to Angela. And when we're back on the laptops or whatever, we can play them to you so you can hear them. But some of the EVPs that we caught are really good. You know, and it was more audible, wasn't it? There.
Yeah, definitely.
So did you go into the little room that had like a window and a door with a grate on it, like a metal bar, and inside the other room was a coffin?
No, I didn't see a coffin at all. It wasn't until the night finished and I thought, oh, we didn't do the coffin room.
Now,
So no, we didn't go there.
As we came out of the base room, where was it, Luke? You went left and down towards the gun room, and then you had the gun room was the last door on the right, and then the other room was the first door on the right, wasn't it, Luke?
I know it had like 2 rooms with like Halloween decorations on it, on like a werewolf on the sticker on the wall window.
Yeah. And it had like, as you went in there, was it's quite a small room and another big room off of that, but the door was locked between the 2 rooms, and there was a coffin. It looked like I don't know whether it was a prop or it looked quite tattered coffin standing up in the corner.
Oh,
So I don't
right.
know whether you ended up in that one. Don't
No.
sound like it.
No, I didn't see that one.
No. So
I remember going, you know, when you come out of the base room bit and then you go around the little bit in the tunnel to the room
Yeah.
opposite. What
Yeah.
was through there? Because I remember we went through there.
So you come out, go straight across. Wasn't that the
Yeah.
prison cells? Was
Oh,
out
maybe
and
it
straight
was.
across. I think that was the beginning of the prison cells, and
Oh,
that went round into like a big room, didn't it? Right at the very end with a fireplace, and I think
yeah.
a table there with some ornaments on it.
Oh, yes. I remember walking past that. Yeah.
I think so. I'm not sure. I mean, my memory's shocking anyway, but I
Yeah.
think that was down the end of that room. Is that right, Luke? We went down there, didn't we? Try some knocking down there, or did you go back, Luke? Because me, Alan. Oh, it's me, Alan, his wife, and you, Luke. We stood in there,
Yeah,
didn't we?
remember that room, yeah.
And that's where we thought we heard a whistle, wasn't it? Or a scream. Do you remember?
That's the kind of the scream, I think, maybe.
It was something happened down the corridor we couldn't make out. And it was like when we left to come back to the base, because it was about 10 to 1 then, as we were all heading back. And I don't know what happened in that room, but it was a loud bang in that room, wasn't it, as we left? It was like a table had been moved or something like dragged, that type of noise.
I think it was, yeah.
Do you remember it? And I said, what was that? Not thinking, because we were obviously heading back, because obviously we had to wrap up about 1 o'clock to be out by 1:30. But there was a loud bang in that room, but we never really went back to have a look, see if anything had moved. But then, so where did you go after that, Angela, then? Once you'd done, you went to the gun room?
I can't remember. I remember being, so I don't know at what point of the evening this was, but it was another quite large room.
Hmm.
I think it had a cannon in it.
Right.
Yeah, we were doing. Well, we moved to quite a few different rooms and sort of doing calling out and cat balls and meters and stuff, but we weren't really getting a great deal. I think that
No.
was the best thing we got was the tats. Although I do remember one guy, I can't remember anyone's name. He was a tall guy, and every now and again, I think he felt something touch his hair, or we felt like
Oh,
somebody
okay.
was around him,
Because I
and
think
that was in a few different places. I think.
there was Alex with you, Steve, Kim, and Toby. Who else? Dora, Michelle, I think. I can't remember.
The guy that worked with Jen, I think that was who he was.
Oh, Alex.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, Alex. He's really nice. He's a very good. He's very sensitive,
Yeah, he seemed to be. Yeah.
because he was saying to me at the end of the night, he felt that the fort was built on a Iron Age village. Because
Oh,
did
okay.
you have some stuff come through on the box saying 600 BC or 900 or something?
Oh, there's definitely a BC in there. Yeah.
Yeah. So he wondered, he had a feeling that it may have been built on an Iron Age village, the
Yeah.
fort, because of the dates coming through would make sense. I
Yeah.
think he said it was 600 and a 900 BC. I'm not sure. Dora would confirm it, but
Yeah,
obviously
something like that.
poor
Yeah.
Dora's at work. So I think that's what came through. Whether that, I don't know what, was you using the Alice, or do you remember what was being used then?
I just know it was on Ryan's phone.
On Ryan's, right. So
Yeah.
it could be any app really, couldn't it? I'm not sure
Yeah.
what apps Ryan has on his phone.
No, I did came through quite a few things, but yeah, it was definitely some hundreds BC came up. and then sort of like the general sort of things you get. Dora says 600 BC and 900 BC.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
That's good. So, and that's what Alex was saying to me. He felt that that it was built. The fort was built on an Iron Age village, the settlement, because of the dates would correspond with what would have been there originally. And I mean, he's quite sensitive to that type of stuff. So it'd be worth us having a look into that and see whether what was there prior to the fort. It could well be an Iron Age settlement. You know, because it could be in the right place with the water and where it would have been from the sea. I'm not sure quite how far it is from the sea, because just down the road from Brockhurst, you've got Fort Rona, haven't you? That's actually on a naval base there.
Yeah.
So, you know, they're quite... I think they were second line of defence, weren't they, from the seashore? So it was something like that, I think. It might have been... Dora might have said it in the opening speech or so, I don't know. But what else did you get other than that? Just that sort of stuff?
Yeah, just little bits and pieces. Some places, some of the little rooms you went in, and you could feel that there was something there. There was a little bit of an energy, and you're a bit like, I'm not sure about this room. And then there was others where you could just like happily be in there and not worry about anything.
Yeah.
And stuff like,
it was a bit like that, wasn't it? Some of the rooms. I mean, you know, you go to a new location like that, you never know what's going to happen anyway. So you're always up against it there. But it was more audible than visual. And in one of the rooms, I'm not sure which room it was, we run the Alice box was running, and it came up. Do you remember what the Alice box said, Luce? It said Grace, didn't it? Emma. William.
I did my app of your box as well.
Yeah. What was you getting on your app?
There's a few names it might have been.
You can't remember the names then?
No.
So it was. We had Grace and Emma on the Alice box. Grace, Emma, William. Here I am. I'm here. I think it said. What else was on there? Let's try and rack my brain. Ain't it mad when you forget these things? It's all exciting when it happens, and then you forget it.
Yeah.
That probably teach me not to write them down when
I
I
was
hear
thinking
them.
that,
So I should have wrote it down when I heard it. I took a notepad with me to write down anything that happens, so I could always refer to it on a Monday night, because my memory's shocking. So, you know, my bad. So I should have done it. I took the book and everything. So, you know, I should have wrote down the names that we were getting. And obviously, Luke was running his Alice ITC alongside my ITC one, and they were not the same. So we'd have different answers to different questions, but it was like an Emma, a Grace, a William, I'm here, I'm there. It was really odd answers. And then I think when the floor was bouncing, when we listened to the playback of the voice recorder, I'm sure in the very background we could hear I'm here. But again, we could hear what sounded like, and Alan and his wife will tell you, most of the recordings we had sounded like running water. Like the tap was on, but there is no water there, because there's no pump room, because it's in the middle, wasn't it? She said would have been the original pump room.
Oh, yeah.
So, which was the square stone in the middle, was where they would have pumped water from the well there.
Yeah.
So, and even when we stood there, we couldn't hear running water. As much as we tried to listen, we couldn't hear it. And yet on the voice recorder, you could clearly hear water running. Very, very strange recorded. Yeah, very strange. And like Alan's wife was saying, and most of the recordings, you could hear what sounded like a dragging. Now, that could have been the children dragging the gunpowder to the cannons. A couple of times there was odd noises. I wouldn't say it was like a cannonball rolling, but it was a bit of a rumble. So something, I'm not sure about that, to be honest. Once I go back all through the voice recorders, and Steve run my voice recorders on your group. He was recording on there. So once I get a minute, I'll log on to them, bring them on my laptop, and then see if I can hear anything on there. But he seems to think he's caught a few bits on there, so that'll be interesting to hear. We definitely caught some good bits of mine. I've done about 10 recordings, I suppose, in different areas. Luke, did you go back over your ones? Because you bought the same recorder as mine, and we set it up, didn't we?
Yeah, I don't think I got much on my recorders.
You didn't?
Didn't seem to, no. I listened to it a little bit.
Right.
Just do it again.
How many files did you record?
It wasn't many for some reason. Don't know why. I thought I recorded more, but there wasn't many. About 3 of them. It's weird.
But did you use it all the time, or on and off?
On and off, I think it was.
Was it? It's all right. I keep having to refresh my screen because it keeps going out. So it'd be interesting once I plug mine in. To be honest, yesterday I was exhausted because we eventually arrived home about 4:30, I think it was in the end. 4:45. 4:45, 4 o'clock, something like that. And then obviously having to unload the equipment as well because we had the chairs in there. Poor old car was full to the brim with equipment and chairs, and it was a bit of a miserable drive home in the rain. So we got home before the sun come up. That was always a result. So we knew he was in bed. Plus the clocks went back, so we didn't really lose an hour.
No,
we just were driving for an hour. But I think it's a place I would like to go back again because I think there's more there for it to go.
Well, it's so big. We only did a tiny portion of it anyway, didn't we?
It's massive, isn't it?
Yeah, you could spend a whole weekend there to do everything.
Oh, easily. Yeah. That could be the way to go, maybe. You go there for a whole weekend and sleep overnight.
Yeah.
Couldn't it? And do Saturday and Sunday there.
Yeah.
You get the energy build up as well then, don't you?
Because it had children, it was had an open day. So it's well worth going on the website and having a look at their open day because they had an open day there for children. It was a free event to go, and they would show you around the fort and sort of a general tour around. And the lady was saying, the lovely Jo, who's our contact, and she was sort of saying they had about 300 odd children there during the day. So if you think about it like that, the energy was built up for us to walk into. And then and when it's like when the team arrived and everybody saw it, it's like all their faces lit up because it was you realised how big this fort is.
Yeah.
And like Angela said, we only had I wouldn't even say it was half of it, to be honest. Nowhere near. And I think if you had a bigger group, you'd have to have a bigger area. The group size we had was right, I think, for what area we had. Yeah. So we had about about 17 people in the end in the team. So, and we split up into good groups. So even when we split up and we went to different areas of the fort, you couldn't hear each other.
Oh no,
there was no echo, no voice carrying anywhere. So if you got a voice on your recorder, then it was a true disembodied voice, or a response. Because a couple of times, obviously, we had radios, two-way radios, so we could talk to each other make sure everybody was okay. And a couple of times, I don't know if it happened to anybody else, my radio came on. Shh.
Oh, did it?
And I thought, and I looked at it, but it didn't do anything. But it made like someone was pressing the button. I don't know. I'm not sure what that was. But it was a strange noise. What else was there? And it was just really at the final part we all went down into the gun room, the massive gun room. Yeah. And again, the window at the end kept disappearing. There's a comment in there. Do we know what the comment is? If I touch it, I'd see it drop me off. It seems to not.
Alan said, we heard water dripping and dragging sounds throughout the night.
Yeah. And it's really strange because we kept looking on the floor thinking maybe it's dripping through the roof, maybe it's paint dropping down. Somebody said, Luke, was it Lynn that when we were in that small room thought something had touched her on the top? We thought it might have been a flake of paint or something had touched her.
That wasn't
The
my
other
mum,
lady,
no.
wasn't it? The other lady done that.
Mm.
The other
Somebody
lady-
said they felt like something had touched them. I thought it was your mum.
No, not me.
No, it wasn't.
No.
No.
The other person did, didn't it?
I don't know. I'm sure we had that. And like where Alan was standing in the little room, you know, a couple of times he heard a noise slightly to his right, you know, like a tapping and a knocking. But we all heard it, but couldn't really place. Where was that? You know, that type of. Where did that come from?
Mm.
That's got to be. And then played the recording back in case it was like a communication. And I said to them, "There's running water in the recording. It literally is like a tap running.
Oh, wow.
So strange." And most of the recordings had the same running water noise. Now, okay, it was raining outside, admittedly, drizzly, not heavier rain, but we were looking at the floor, see if there's any wet spots on the floor where it was drip, 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 drip.
Yeah.
There was nothing. The floor was dry, so it wasn't coming in. So I don't quite know what we were hearing in the recording with the running water. I don't know. Would they have had animals there during that time? Horses or donkeys or... I don't actually know. Whether they would have had animals to move stuff, I don't know. You know, whether we were hearing water because there would have been water in there at some stage, I don't really know. And then we went sort of back to the base room and Jen had done a drawing that she'd got through. And it looked like a nurse with the bandana and the cross and the Red Cross and all of that. So we sort of had a look at it yesterday afternoon after we'd come round a little bit from the late night and drain of energy and all of that. And when we Googled it, they would have had nurses there. And they would have had an infirmary down by near the cannons. Because the sick soldiers and children and that like that were taken care of. Although they weren't medically trained at that time, but they were just coming into the time where Florence Nightingale started her trip into nursing. So they would have been around that time of her being around. And then she started up the training for the nurses. But Jen remembers seeing this woman come through with the spirit art of a nurse. So that was interesting. Not sure where the infirmary was there. Whether it was the big room at the back that had the little room where you had the knocks or something like that. Because it was a big enough room. Not sure. I'd have to look at the history of it to see where the infirmary was compared to where we were. We were really in a very small, I'd say small, it wasn't that small, it was a lot of walking. But like Angela said, it was a small part of a massive fort. You know, and then we traipsed over to the bunk room on the far side, didn't we? But that was just completely quiet, wasn't it? It was just actually nothing there. No matter how hard we tried, it was just quiet. It's strange, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So from there, we walked back to the cannon room, didn't we, to have one more last
missed
go?
a comment from Dora.
Oh, right, sorry. We went to the last
said-
room with the cannons. Yeah, go on. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Do you want me to read it?
Yeah. I can't see it.
I can just about. We went to the last room with cannons, and that's where the plasma ball stood still. After that, we went back to the hallway where the tunnels were because we heard a whistle and then for tea.
Did you see the plasma ball, Angela? Because I saw the video.
Yeah, I remember before they took that video, I remember looking at it and thinking, that's strange, it's not really moving. So you had all like the tendrils out, but it was either sort of one of moved slowly, like now and again, but it was like nothing was there. It was just, hang on. Yeah.
We have a video of it, but obviously we'll play it to you once we get back on the laptop. But it's like Angela was saying, when I looked at the video, normally you get it sort of a static charge all the way around in in the sphere, but it's actually dead straight, isn't it?
Yeah, there was a few of them, but they weren't moving.
It's like
Although-
when you touch it, isn't it? You get that streak when you touch it, it goes to a solid streak,
Yeah.
doesn't it? But when I watched the video, it's very strange what was going on with it. And I think even at one stage, Dora said about turning it off and restarting it again in case something had happened to the sphere. Because I heard her say on the video, I'll turn it off and restart it again and see what happens.
Yeah.
And I think the video's either before or after that. I'm not quite sure.
No.
But again, it ran for a little while and then went solid. So whether something was touching it and they could see the energy from the globe, because it would have emitted energy. Do you remember having an EMF meter near that, Angela, or anything like that?
I was just going to say there was a meter sort of right next to it, and I think things like that can disrupt the behaviour of it, but I don't know if it would have. I don't know.
It'd be something we need to try, isn't it?
Yeah, because
See
I
what?
spent a while looking up today on plasma balls and what does it mean when they don't move. It took me half an hour to find anything, but eventually I got there.
And what did it say?
It said reasons for motionlessness. It could be low power setting if the power is set too low, or there's the voltage isn't high enough to create the dynamic movement, or environmental interference.
All right. I know it had a new battery in it.
Yeah, that's why I wondered if it might have been the device that was next to it and that was stopping it moving somehow.
We'll try that. Because I've got one here. So what was it? K2 meter, Angela, was it?
Yeah. But,
did that flash then when the plasma was running?
No, it wasn't doing anything. We even sort of put it right up to the ball and it didn't do anything, but I don't know if it was affecting it the other way.
Right, yeah.
Like it affecting the ball instead of the ball affecting it.
Interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, something to play around with.
Yeah.
And work out.
It's something we'll try again on another one and then, try it at home. Because I have one here. I'll try it at home here and see whether the K2 meter affects the, like you say, the dynamics of it.
Yeah.
It's quite an impressive video where it's just solidly still. And that's what it does when you actually touch it, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, then it'll sort of all go to one point and a couple of points, but yeah, they were just like pointing outwards and not moving. That's odd.
Yeah, I wonder if the meter would have affected it. I don't know. Because I thought if it was a plasma ball, would it be giving off EMF? Would it create an electromagnetic field around itself? Because potentially it's a plasma ball, so it's creating energy.
Yeah, because I know if you'd put your hand on it and then touch someone with your other hand, it'll create a little static shock. So.
Okay, right. You've been trying that out, have you, with the kids?
No, it was on the
video. You will do this. You will, Hoover. Get a big one, can't we?
Yeah.
Stand there and touch it and say you will do it. Take that. So that was an interesting experiment to try then, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
A good idea. So it'd be worth us looking into putting a K2 next to one of the spheres or plasma balls and see whether that affects it in its dynamics, maybe. And then we may have the answer. Obviously, if it doesn't, then there must be something outside of that source that's touching the glass and that was in the cannon room, was it?
There was a cannon in there, yeah. I don't know which room was which. There were so many rooms.
There's rooms everywhere, weren't there? For a small part of the fall, there was lots of places to go and get lost in. Because even in the cannon room, you went right down the end. There was a room at the end. Then that room had another room off of that. Then it had a corridor to another room, didn't it? We thought it was a small part of the fall, but it turned out to be quite a large part of the fall, really.
Yeah.
And like we said earlier, the best bit was that we couldn't hear each other.
Yeah, no, not at all.
So no matter all the voice recordings we had, And hopefully we can get them playing for you, because there's some good captures on there. They are unexplained. We just need to hear back and listen to them and see what's going on and see if we can put a name to it. But we had some good Grace. We wondered whether they were Grace, Emma, William, whether they were nurses, women nurses there. I don't know, because they're old-fashioned names, aren't they? Emma, Grace. So we wonder whether they were either nurses. I don't think they would have had women fighting there, but the only women that would have been there may have been nurses, or I wouldn't have thought they'd had jailers at that time. But it was interesting, it came up, and that was in the room, like you were saying, Angela, where you got the knocks, because there was one small room and then leading into a large room at the back. And that's where we had the floor bouncing up and down when we were all standing there. That was that room.
Yeah, I do remember one bit of floor I was standing in. I was like, this moves a bit. I don't like this.
Yeah, and we were all standing still. And I sort of thought, what on earth is this? And I said to anybody else, feel this floor moving? And we all stood still. Jen was sitting down on a chair, so she wasn't moving around. And everybody, and even Luke, we were sounding out, and Alan and his wife were saying, the floor's moving.
Oh, wow.
The floor's bouncing. And it literally was bouncing like that. Like someone was walking, someone was heavy walking across it. Or like Alan said, someone was jumping up and down. And it was actually bouncing, the whole of the floor. And Luke was probably, how far away from us were you, Luke? 6 foot, 7 foot away? Maybe 8 foot?
Not far, yeah.
And you even felt the floor there, didn't you? It was like, it was the most strangest thing I'd ever experienced. It's the actual floor. I know the floor's suspended, and when you do walk over it, and if you sort of bounce on it, because we were trying to replicate it, even though we were standing still, if you bounce really heavily on it, you can actually get the floor to bounce. Because we tried it before we left, didn't we? See if we could work out what, if it was one of us moved and the floor would, but we all moved around, but the floor didn't move. And yet it bounced. It was literally bouncing, like someone was either jumping up and down on it, or somebody really heavy was like marching through the room. It was something like that. And that was just at the point we were listening to the voice recorder. And I'm sure in the very background it says, I'm here. So whether it was something walking into the room to listen or come and see what we were doing, I don't know. It's a very, very strange feeling, to be honest. And then obviously the highlight for me was really the light in the corridor. The yellowy coloured, what I would say was no brighter than a candlelight, really, was it, Lou?
Wasn't, no.
And it literally was going up and down like someone was walking. Because we thought, we shouted out, come in if you're coming in, because we were in the middle of doing a call out, didn't we?
You
And we all thought, you know how you stand there and look at the door? Well, that's strange. Nobody's coming in. And then the light disappeared, and we thought, well, that's strange. Who was that? So I went out and looked out into the courtyard. There was nobody around. But well, that's strange, because we all saw the light in a very dull, yellowy coloured light. But well, that's very odd. Came back into the room, and it was minutes of calling out, and there it was again, the dull yellow light, but it was actually moving down the corridor like a reflection. And I went out and said, who is there? Come on, somebody's got to be here. Who's here? I'm going, thinking someone's having a bit of a laugh, which we don't mind, but, let us know. And when I say that split second, I looked to my right, which is where cells 2 and 3 were, is where I saw this black shadow, this tall hat, and this light was like just sort of is slightly in front of it. And the split second I looked back, I thought, what is that? I was saying, who are you? Because I don't know why I said that, because I knew I'd seen something. And in that split second, it had gone. And I sort of changed, and I went, who are you? Thinking it was one of us. It wasn't. It wasn't. It was a split second I looked back, because I looked in the room and said, who was that? And as I looked back, it had gone. But I saw the shape of the hat, the figure, no distinction, no buttons, nothing. It was probably to the back of it. But I remember seeing the tall hat, and I would have said it was about as tall as the door, 6 foot-ish. in height, and it had this hat, sort of medium height hat on, and the light was sort of flickering down the corridor in front of it, and it was just literally like as normal, a quick split second. Because I even shouted out, "Who is that? Who's there?" Because I thought someone was there.
Yeah.
And sometimes you think, "Oh, maybe I didn't see. Maybe I didn't see it." But if you say it, and you react to it, you must have seen something to react. So otherwise, you'd have gone, "Oh no, there's nothing here," and gone back in the room.
Yeah.
But I was like, "Who is that? Who are you? What are you doing?" Thinking someone, and obviously it disappeared in seconds. So I'm not quite sure what we saw.
No.
I don't know, but as I say, we saw a head pop round the door. We thought we saw someone walk past the door. So all these types of various things, all these various types of things that were going on in the cells, but couldn't really put our finger on it, to say, yeah, it was definitely this, definitely that.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to listen back to the voice recordings and see whether we actually get a voice. There is a few bits on there. We've heard it. It's myself and Alan's wife were listening a couple of times, and we did get some voices, dragging, the water running all the time. Very, very strange. Very strange.
Yeah, I've got some voice recordings. I've started listening, but I'm more interested to see whether I hear any water as well.
That would be interesting. Luke, have you heard any water on yours?
I think need to listen to it again properly, I think.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to hear if either of you two or anybody else that recorded that night. We stood there, myself, Alan, his wife, Luke, and a couple of the others, Gillian and that, and we could clearly hear running water on the recorder. But there is no running water there.
No.
So if anybody's got a comment about what they think it could be, I don't know. I don't know why we were hearing it. And like Alan said earlier, a lot of the times we heard it on most of the recordings.
Yeah, because the toilets are sort of completely separate, aren't they?
They were right across the courtyard, weren't they? Yeah, that's true, yeah. There's no pump room there because the pump's gone. And it's not as though you could stand in the room and listen and hear the water running like it was water for the well running underneath the fall. But the keep wasn't there. When you went out, I checked the moat or the keep. The water was still, although it was raining, but the water was still in there. So it couldn't have picked that up moving. But it's clearly hear this water running.
Yeah.
It's exciting when things happen and you can't explain. And you had a few there. We did, Graham, yeah. We had a few, like Angela was saying, when they heard the 3 knocks, very audibly loud knocks, which was brilliant. It's so, that's exciting, isn't it? When you get a response, you think, you know what, that's good enough tonight. That response. Yeah. And we thought we saw someone.
I can't remember the rest of the evening because I got that, and then the rest of it's like I don't know.
Yeah, but it was. I think all in all, together, we had some good evidence and good stuff to go through. So it'd be exciting to bring another update back to you another Monday with it. Obviously, we've got this week to go through, so I'll start going through mine. I've got a couple of messages to answer, so I'll answer them, and then I'll go through start pulling all my recorders stuff out and have a listen and go back and try and put it on my laptop. And then at a later date, we can stick it on here and you can all have a listen and see the plasma ball and all that type of stuff. It's very interesting. We had lots of unexplained stuff, put it that way.
Yeah.
Something you thought could be, couldn't be. Why we got running water? Why can we hear a dragging sound? And we got a dragging sound on most of the recordings we did.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's not the voice recorder because I run another recording. Where was I? Where did I go on my own? Well, back to the cannon room. Because I was intrigued by a little room off the cannon room. And I had the recorder there and I couldn't hear any running water in that voice recording. And yet you can clearly hear the running water and the dragging. So I don't know, we had lots of things unexplained that we need to sort of try and work out what we're listening to. But you know, I think we'll be invited back there to do another one. So hopefully we'll open up a lot more, because there's probably 50 rooms on the opposite side of the what do they call, parade ground? Would you say it's a parade ground or that type of stuff? There's probably 50 odd rooms opposite that we never got. We did one that, obviously, you know, being honest with you, like watching that, we didn't get nothing in there, nothing at all. You know, it was dead quiet. It was a good group of people in there, a lot of experience in the room, and nothing, absolutely nothing. It was dead, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
And so we decided to come out of there and head over to the gun room, which was the last 20 minutes or half an hour, whatever it was, where we got a bit of activity going off in there. But it did start off quietly, I must admit. But then I didn't expect it to go hell for leather.
No.
You know, I didn't expect to see soldiers and guns and children, and I didn't expect that. I thought it might well be a slow burner. But I think the more times you go back, you know, the more times I think it's going to give you more and more and more, to be honest. But a very, very good location. So thank you, the English Heritage, for allowing us. Very privileged to go in there and do that for them. Obviously, all the money goes to them. We take out for the coffee and tea, but they get the remainder of it. So it all goes to their charity. So that makes a good thing. It's just helping them keep history alive, really. You know, because she was saying how expensive it is. It's something like £2,000 a month just to turn the lights on.
Oh, well.
Just it's hugely expensive to run. But obviously they run by charity donations and volunteers. A lot of volunteers spend a lot of their time helping, as they do in most of the forts, Fort Rona and all the other forts around. They're all run by volunteers. So, you know, well done them for keeping it going. And they're slowly getting it back to original, rooms painted, and, you know, the cannons were all uncovered for us. And all the original cannons as well. They're not replicas, they're originals. So, you know, so it's really back to basics again, really. But all in all, an intriguing night, really. You know, as we say, lots happened, lots of unexplainable things, but maybe things that we can explain after listening more. But if you're listening back, just Angela and Luke, just have a listen for water. See if you can hear any running water in your recorders. So, is there any other comments?
No, I think I've got more.
Okay, brilliant. Okay, so that was our investigation at Fort Brockhurst on Saturday night. All in all, a good night. You know, lots of unexplainable stuff happened, which we thought would do. So thank you for tuning in. It remains to be said, have a really, really safe week. And everybody on here, wish Angela a happy birthday for tomorrow. She's 2017 tomorrow. Angela's 2017 tomorrow. So work that one out.
17.
So happy birthday for tomorrow. Have a great day. We'll be back next Monday with either videos and sound recordings or another topic. So if you have any topics you want us to talk about, or you want to come in, I'm just talking to a lady about haunted dolls, Luke. So if I bring her on, you need to open your mouth.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, because she's really interesting.
It's good, yeah.
With haunted dolls.
Yeah.
Just up your street, Luke.
Yeah.
She's a really nice lady as well.
Yeah.
So I'm just in the middle of talking to her at the moment. So see if I can get her to come on. And she did an investigation in London, in a house in London on Saturday night. Hence why she couldn't come to the fort. But really nice lady. Really, really nice. So only remains me to say it again instead of sitting here waffling. Have a great, great week. Be safe. And we'll see you next Monday. Take care. Bye, everybody.
Bye.